from the outside, it looks like you're just in this like flow state. I want to talk focus and flow. So tell me, what does a typical week look like?
I want to say that I'm proactive as possible, but I also want to be honest and upfront that I'm also very reactive. I live by my calendar. I time block as best I can. There's a part of me that is also just kind of a natural hustler. Even if I am doing something outside of work for enjoyment, I'll accidentally find a way to build a relationship or, like I said earlier, naturally hustle. That's a vague response.
Yeah.
I live by my calendar. I wake up every morning with my boys anywhere from 5 to 6 a.m. Try to spend some good time with them if I'm able to before everyone else is rolling. I'm in appointments usually 8 or 9 I try to stop it at 5 or 6. And then it's family time. It's kind of the two main areas I'm blocking. And you can break that down however you want.
I feel like live and die by the calendar. There's always follow up and there is other things that you have to do. So let me ask just to kind of hopefully give some clarity around what a calendar looks like. Do you do appointments to 5 or 6? Because I would imagine that there has to be this also point where how do you like stay in communication and keep these relationships up?
As best I can, I try to be done by 6 or 7. Of course, we're in real estate, so that doesn't always happen. I usually say, hey, this is when I can take you, or this is when so-and-so can take you, right? That's where I've built my business out to the point now. Once you're not in direct transaction with me as a realtor, maybe I'm texting you here and there as I think of you. I'm living in your mailbox a lot physically. When you are my client, if you're looking for something extremely unique, I'm looking for you once every morning. If you're not looking for something really unique, I've probably framed or coached you that if you see something you like, you need to reach out to me because I'm looking for off markets. You look for on markets. It's all about framing.
Okay.
It's all about framing. And the longer I do this, the better I get at telling them how I'm going to communicate up front and how they should expect to communicate back.
I think one of the things, like to be in that flowed or focus state, like you said, of course, there's always reactive things, but I think unconsciously sometimes we don't realize how many rules that we have. Like you just mentioned quite a few right there. Like you said, setting expectations with people. I'm looking for off market. You're looking for on market. That's huge, right? That allows like the expectation that maybe they're watching the hot sheet, they're doing that, but you're trying to talk to everybody, which now you're in relationship with people of, hey, what do you have coming up? Do you have something, right? That was huge. Okay, when you're my client or when I see something and it makes me think of somebody, I'm always going to just shout it out or text it.
One of the new hacks on iPhones is, if I'm taking a little me time and just kind of screwing around, relaxing, I might think of somebody at 8, 9, 10 p.m. at night, and I'll text them, and it won't send until whenever I choose to send it. Just to also, be respectful of your boundary in the evening, and or also make maybe their boundary too. But there's so many ways that technology can help you versus hurt you.
Yes. That's a whole nother.
Yeah. I think like the last time we were talking, it was like, it's never been easier in my opinion. It's hard always, but if you want to have the glass half full outlook, it's never been easier with all the tools that are out there.
Right. But I think one of the things also that you said about focus that I think is simple but really true is you have a start time and a stop time. And I think one of the traps that people can fall into in real estate is this, I love it, I can set my own schedule, I can do kind of what I want, which turns into a lot of what I want and not a lot of focused time. I just relate to things that you say that I'm like, yeah, I have that, right? I start at 8 a.m. I won't do anything prior. Doesn't mean I don't wake up and I'm not thinking about it, but that's when I start communicating with people. I quit at 8:30. I'm working every day. I work these hours, right? Like you said, you've got this. This is my family time. This is work time. To have that hustle, like, yeah, you have to have that naturally, but you also have, would you agree, this schedule per se?
Yeah, and I cannot take full credit for it either. Like a lot of that is from how I was raised and how I want to show up for my kids, and then how my wife pushes me to be better too. I always say there's very few people that I give enough relationship capital to what, if they're pushing me, this is the way I'm going to do it. But my wife has that capital, and she, it's one of the reasons we're probably together. She knows how to push me and how to get me to think differently. And sometimes that might not be your wife. Maybe it's a business coach, maybe it's a mentor, but having that person to, push you to do more, show up better, it's actually better for your clients and your family in this analogy.
So again, all this process, energy, what protects your energy then? Week in, week out, because again, doing 100 plus deals, 10 closings a month. Like that's a lot of energy and a lot of people who want things from you.
So what protects it?
Yeah. What habits or what's one thing or a couple things you do that just protects your energy? Because I think another thing is sometimes I see agents, they get to the end of a transaction and they just feel like depleted, right? I mean, they almost need to like recover before they start again. And so you know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like what keeps you in that state where it's like that you can show up every day that many times?
So I have a tradition that if I go through a really, really bad transaction, I'll go out to dinner after the closing by myself. I won't talk to anyone. I'll sit at the bar. I'll enjoy a nice meal, process the transaction, and then I move on from it to naturally, avoid burnout or maybe, or
keep your energy, whatever.
Keep your energy
going every day.
Right. Moving my body is really important. One-on-one time with my partner. I try to make one-on-one time with my sons too. And I like to be around other people who, are different than me, but have the same kind of ideology of positivity, of work hard, be kind, relationships over transactions.
Yes.
Really making sure the tribe I'm around is, that was a really tough transaction, but what a blessing you were able to, make a handsome commission and you got to help that family at the end of the day.
Right.
I was actually just talking to an agent who's been in the business 24 years and you can choose to be negative or jaded. You can choose to be positive. And the more you're in the business or the more transactions, the temptation is there. So being around other people, who aren't going to be Debbie Downers is really important for me.
Yeah, huge. So it sounds like things that protect your energy so that you can do this every day, that many times over in any given year it's all those things that we all hear, but it's so true. Like who do you surround yourself with? Who's around you? I think I can't remember what the Japanese process is, but it's like that. It's the process of processing, like sitting down, having that dinner, things went wrong, reflection, all the feels, right? And then moving forward so you can then let it go. But I think if we don't find a way to let that go, it's negative. It's just energy that stays, that's not positive.
You have to let it go. Here's an example. 30 homes shown and then 30 days of ghosting. And then you see they bought a house with someone else. You can dwell on that and it will affect the experience of your future clients, or you can get over it as quick as you possibly can and focus on all the good that happens too.
100%. Because even in every failure is where we really learn. I always say it too, if I reflect back, is there anything I could have done differently? Is there anything I missed? Is there anything I could be aware of? That's all I can control. Every given day is myself. And if that isn't true, then it's them. And it doesn't matter what it is, right? You may or may not know, but as long as you've done the reflection, like you said, you have to move forward or it'll eat you up.
I'm reflecting right now.
I can tell.
Yep.
What are you reflecting on?
It's just a similar story to the example I just gave.
Just more. They're there. Yeah.
Yep. And you said it best. What could I have done better? Because no matter how good you are, you always could have been a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, and you're never going to have perfection, right? It just is that awareness, and I think that's what keeps us in this really positive state is just, oh, hey, you know what? I was really tired, and I kind of forgot about them, and I didn't show up, or I missed it, or I dropped the ball, and so, maybe I need to, or maybe you don't, and maybe it just is a week where you're like, yeah, I messed up, and you move forward.
If you're for everyone, you're for no one. Look at yourself honestly in the mirror and go, you know what, that happened for a reason. And here's how I can pivot from it if I choose to.
You talked about the deal that fell apart and like kind of your habit of going to dinner by yourself, sitting there.
Those are only if you close it. You only get to go to dinner by yourself if you close it. If it doesn't close, who's paying for dinner?
That's interesting.
Who's paying for dinner?
Who's paying for dinner? Yeah. Okay, so they have to close.
If I close, it's just an extremely mentally taxing transaction. I like to go and spend hour and a half by myself, have a nice meal, and reflect.
So along with kind of what we've been talking about when you talk about process and flow in your state, any sales is like up here, right? Like how much of it would you say? I think 90%. I mean, it's a high percent is mental game. I mean, all the other stuff makes you better, makes it more efficient. But if this isn't right.
There are thousands and thousands of different personality types. And for each buyer, there's really only like 5 to 10 layouts. So really it's just navigating when a home emotionally feels right. And you can choose to hard sell or soft sell, right? And that's all up here, like you said. But handling objections, I always tell people, like, there's two sides to your brain, the left and your right, and they're both really important. most people end up living on the emotional side during this process. It's my job to just try to get you in the middle,
That's really good.
keep you more logical. Emotions are good, but let's not forget about logic. So
Right.
that, I think, is what real estate sales is. It's just helping people process things logically,
Yeah.
because you have experience. You've seen it a lot of times. Or if you haven't seen it a lot of times, you have a mentor or a resource to help you with that.
Right. That's really powerful. I like the way you describe that. Like, I think I always used, sometimes when we want to achieve a goal or do something, if I want to, right, have a different physique, I will probably have a better outcome if I hire a trainer and work out with them.
Probably.
And a lot of times they have experience, they have knowledge, they can troubleshoot things. It's accountability. I just show up, right? They just make sure I'm doing the things I need to do. And that's kind of what it's like when you're trying to buy a house. But I love that how you talked about the emotional side, because that's what I always think is whether even if you're trying to sell a home, we all work better under accountability and goals, right? So let's kind of set some goals and some things that can be done, that how I can help you get it done or achieve the goal, buying a home or selling a home. But I love how you use the emotional side and the two brains and bringing logic, because that's essentially what I feel like you're doing: data, logic, keeping people grounded, keeping them focused, getting them to the end.
They need to work together as a team. If we're too far left or too far right, usually you're going to end up hating that house, right?
Right.
Or hating the process, hating the experience.
But I think one of the things that you maybe unlock that's kind of really cool in our conversation right now is I see a lot of agents. Just last night, I saw a post of someone who was talking about how they were a realtor therapist to their clients.
Yeah.
And I think
Common.
kind of what you said or I said is like, not that things aren't going to come up, because it's a very emotional process, but I don't know if that's the best thing to feed, like you said, is into the emotion and let's talk about it in the therapy. And I think it can backfire when you're doing sales.
And make the transaction more emotionally taxing. Boundaries are good. We all know there's some clients who are going to call you, hey, it's just going to be 30 minutes, honey,
Yeah.
And setting those boundaries early and upfront will be a good experience for that client. But if you don't set them halfway through the transaction, you are going to end up in their crosshairs eventually.
Yes, we've been talking about that on the team, even when people want to be kind of friend, buddy, therapist, problem solver. But you're right. If we're logical and we're keeping that focus, I'll have someone call me and say, hey, even if it's emotional, can I talk to you, or do you have a minute? I'll say, oh yeah, I have 15. But like you said, it's putting those logical boundaries around it. Like if it's longer than that, we can decide what we need to go from there. But I'm not picking up the phone, like what's going on? And then sucking. And I see a lot of agents do that, thinking I'm serving, I'm helping, I'm providing value. I was on the phone with them last night for, 2 hours. It's like, you should probably, I don't know.
It ends up happening. It ends up happening.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to do more business or do better business, you'll frame it better from the start.
You'll frame it because you like you said, even that is how valuable our time is, and we have to protect it, and you have to put boundaries around it, and that's also part of that focus flow state. So now, what happens and what do you do when you feel like overwhelmed, or you have this bad transaction or something? You hear this a lot from realtors where it's like, oh, this deal just blew up my day or blew up my week or literally weeks. So what do you do? Because you can't do that many deals. But what you do for, like I said, this isn't about necessarily, right? It's not about you doing 100. It's about the habits that you've built that for someone who wants to achieve 30, 40, 50, 20, doesn't matter. These are all good things that need to be in place, but would also allow you to do so much more. So what do you do? Overwhelm?
Go back to your foundation, go back to your mission statement. My mission statement is to help the right people make the right decisions in real estate. And then, one of my core values is relationships over transactions. So this is going really poorly. Let's take a step back and go, hey, what's more important in this scenario, this deal or my relationship with the client? The client, okay, I'm in an emotional state. Let me get somewhere in the middle, do some more logical. That happens over constant reminder, repetition. And then also, once again, who are you hanging out with? Are they in similar mindsets or not, right? And you can decide what kind of agent you want to become.
Okay, so you say that sounds simple, but I also think maybe it's part of who you are. Maybe it's not. Like maybe you became logical and you became like so calm and focused, and maybe it is the power of who's around you. Those all could be true. But don't you ever have those weeks or days where you just are, oh, I'm so overwhelmed and I can't do this? Okay, they exist then. All right.
Of course. I'm a human,
Okay.
right? I'm a human, right? Who's your support system? How do you handle stress? Because handling stress is also a skill. We talk about, to get back to your, trainer analogy, when you're stressed, your body doesn't know if it's a grizzly bear or you're freaked out that, Beth doesn't like you because the transaction isn't going well, right? So those stresses, Your cortisol response as a human is the same. You can use the logical side of your brain, and some really proven, like, everyone knows about taking a deep breath. That's the first thing you teach a toddler when they're freaking out, right? You as an adult can also do that when you're in stressful situations, and then you go, hey, you know what? The house isn't bleeding, is it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we can either figure this out or find the best outcome. So the sooner you realize, hey, I'm being very reactive and my blood pressure is raised, it really shouldn't be. This is just real estate. The sooner you can come to the grips that I need to work on myself, I'll be a better agent for my clients, the better. And the more business you can handle. How much you want to do is up to you, but you'll be able to handle more the more you can handle stress and humans and multiple things going on at the same time.
Yeah. I always had a checklist, right? Like when I felt overwhelmed, it'd start
I would
with
write
like,
stuff down back in the day.
oh, that checklist? Yeah. Well, for me, my checklist was, are you dehydrated? When was the last time? How much water have you drank?
That's
like,
a good one.
How much sleep have you gotten? Are you tired? Like, have you eaten? Have you gone to the bathroom? Like, legit, those 4 things, like, solved a lot of problems. Like, water and sleep are, like, number 1 and number 2.
You don't realize how important they are.
Yeah.
You know, the human body will do what it has to do, but it can come with consequences.
Part of it, too, I see a lot is when you get into that, everything has come off the rails, that completely overwhelmed state. It wasn't that moment. It was probably a whole week or all these things leading up to it that when you got there. So I think what you're saying is, too, is like when you control your time and your schedule and your boundaries, it's less, you still have those days, but maybe they're not as frequent. Like, how often would you feel like you experience that extreme state of overwhelm or things just falling apart or I can't, like, right, that day where you just feel like I can't do this?
When they happen, it's because I chose to go quick instead of going through a process. They do happen. They happen less frequently. When I choose speed, it's usually where all of a sudden I'm overwhelmed because I'm going quickly. I'm trying to be efficient. And the COVID market taught me speed. And right now I'm unlearning speed. Speed is not good. We don't need to be speed right now. Let's be prepared. So it just, that's when it happens to me, is when I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I can get it done. Can go quickly, and now, no wonder so-and-so is frustrated or it wasn't a great experience. Is speed. In COVID, we had to go fast. Now, fast is a tool that we can choose to pull or not. It depends on the situation. Simple things, they sound simple, right? Practicing them out in the field is another thing, but what are you putting in your mind, whether it's this video, this podcast, whatever, interview, whatever it is, right? Like, this technically is a reminder to be calm. Let's figure this out.
One of the favorite things I learned even in the last year is as someone who can get in a heightened, excited, I have so much to do, speedy state instead of, grounded and process focused, is that if I'm speaking and I feel like I have to start using my nose, right, to breathe, I can't breathe through my nose, is that I'm doing shallow breathing, right? So it would be like, oh my gosh, Caleb, like, I'm so sorry I had to be late today, and I had to drop my dog off, and then, right, you start, and even that simple thing just gets you in that state, like you said. So it is so powerful that even someone pointed out to me this year is that even if I'm excited or wanting to get things done, that one simple thing is causing shallow breathing, like starting that process of stress, right, in my body. So it is crazy, like, how important that is. And if you have, I always think a big sign is that if you feel like you're going to be in that state every day, maybe it's time for some leverage or to look at the process, because maybe you have more than you can handle with the hours you have allotted to your work and your career.
Leverage your coaching, right? Or some sort of efficiency. Yeah.
So, yeah. I love that.